Hey there, amazing viewers. Welcome back to our YouTube channel where we bring you your favorite manhwa recaps. Did you know that more than 90% of our viewers have not subscribed yet? So please, if you're enjoying our videos and want to be part of our awesome community, now is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button. Joining our subscriber family means you'll never miss out on any of our exciting content. So, take a quick second to click that big red subscribe button below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay notified whenever we release a new video. Enjoy watching and stay awesome. Once upon a time, the protagonist named Lin Ling had encountered an accident for saving a young girl's life. From then on, he was transmigrated and became a useless disciple of the lightning cloud peak. The first thing he heard as soon as he reincarnated was harsh comments such as being called a useless trash. Lin Ling was in such a disadvantaged situation since the person he reincarnated into isn't just a loser, but he was also blind and incapable of cultivating. Lin Ling was severely bullied by everyone that people would refuse to give him medicine since they believed he'd still be a trash even if he got better. Lin Ling also received some hard orders like fetching some 3 spirit petals from a place called Ursa Major Hill all the way for the money lender. The money lender seemed so cruel for forcing a blind man to do what she pleases or else she'll sell Lin Ling's junior sister to an old brothel as a prostitute. Until a miracle happened one day when the seal on his eyes was removed, and he could suddenly peek into a long-lost era. He even learned and could see the lay exceptional techniques from an ancient time. Lin Ling also witnessed powers and skills which rare folk remedies that have been passed down for thousands of years. He even had a journey to look for secrets and treasures. Ever since Lin Ling could see, he became invincible. From here on out, Lin Ling will never sit through humiliation. He gained power so that he finally had a privilege to knock some senses to the money lender who threatens his loved ones. Lin Ling swore that whoever dares to get in his way shall be turned into a deceased soul under his control. And he promised that he will use his privilege to reign as the strongest man in the world. The story begins when Lin Ling had a breakdown and anger towards Yezilan at the Yaguang Peak, the mountain rear bamboo forests. Lin Ling's hands were already bleeding a lot from punching and scratching a rock using the tip of his fingers. Lin Ling hated himself and slowly loses hope because no matter how hard he tried, he still can't form his body's meridians. Lin Ling hated himself for being weak and not even the same level as Yezilan, which is difficult for him since his state won't save his sister named Yu. Lin Ling had a backstory. It all started when he was involved in a car accident. After that, he woke up and became a Yaguang Peak disciple, but unlike the others, Lin Ling did not become a spoiled young master or an overpowered character. Lin Ling became trash that can't even cultivate, that is also blind. Not only was Lin Ling trampled and looked down by the others, but he also couldn't even protect his own younger sister. The money lender even threatened Lin Ling that his sister will be forced to be a prostitute if Lin Ling doesn't follow all the harsh orders given to him. In order to get stronger, Lin Ling had to learn martial arts where one must use the heavens and earth's spiritual energy to form spiritual energy. At Lin Ling's starting stage, his body was at a refining stage. But since he was blind, and his physical fitness is several times weaker than the average person, Lin Ling was unable to absorb aura to store in his body. Lin Ling doesn't know what his master put on his eyes, but he is certain that it's hurting him. He then tried to look up because of the relieving feeling of nature and light seemed to calm him, that it symbolizes that he's getting better. To his surprise, Lin Ling could see the light. He wondered if he'd already recovered, until something had caught his attention. Lin Ling decided to approach the old man with intense aura sitting in the middle of the woods like he was trying to draw Lin Ling's attention. Lin Ling recognized the old man to be the Yaguang's peak elder. He wondered why the elder cultivating was nearby, yet he couldn't sense it. Lin Ling noticed the elder to be using the supreme dragon spirit, an extensive and profound knowledge. Its method is rank 10 in yellow grade. Lin Ling was mesmerized with the elder's method, which he believed he could use to enter the realm of 5 spirits. He knew that once he acquired the supreme dragon spirit, Lin Ling would be unstoppable, until the elder's dragon got intensified. Lin Ling couldn't help but watch how the elder cultivates his power due to how extravagant it looks. Lin Ling recognized the power to be the Danshan's fragile seal that will form a black spiritual energy. It is a kind of yellow grade method power that is infamous for being a strong kind. Lin Ling took the opportunity to train with the elder. However, he noticed that the elder's cultivation method looked like it was being slowed down. But then he didn't mind and just focused on himself, because no matter how unlucky Lin Ling was, it is never unlucky to at least try his best. After a while, Lin Ling finally made a stepping stone. He was speechless as he saw himself getting better. He had a brief celebration that his body finally entered the second realm of body refining. Lin Ling respectfully showed his gratitude that the elder showed him guidance to be better at martial arts. But the next thing he knew, the elder disappeared. Lin Ling couldn't stop pacing out with the weird disappearance of the elder. Lin Ling realized that his eyes might have an ability to see spirits. Later that day, Lin Ling headed home. He couldn't stop staring at his reflection in the mirror since he could already see. but his eyes don't look normal at all. It was like it has a green thunder lightning in the middle of his pupil. He wondered if it might be the side effects of his master's medicine. Lin Ling moved on about his eyes like it wasn't a big deal, because for Lin Ling, what mattered most was to save his baby sister Yu. And now that he obtained the Supreme Dragon Spirit, all he needed to do was to break through the third realm of his body refining. Then he wouldn't have to worry about the terrifying Yi Zilem. Luckily, Lin Ling thought of consuming some Kai-gathering pills in order to fasten his training process. The next day at the Guyanpai Tianshu Peak, Lin Ling went out to fetch some medicine. He was excited since he's the next one in line. But due to his reputation, the people who's handing out pills decided to bully him. Even though Lin Ling was giving a nice gesture, the man purposely let the pills fall off the ground. He believed that nothing would change even if Lin Ling took the pills since he's already unworthy. Lin Ling warned the man to pick up the pills. The man behind the bully laughed hysterically that a punching bag like Lin Ling actually tried to fight back. But it only provoked Lin Ling. The man still disrespected Lin Ling, thinking he was still a weakling, until it reached the point where Lin Ling's on his final straw and grabbed the bully's arm and punched him in the gut. The bully flew away from getting one punch while the other bully was shocked to see Lin Ling, who had just become stronger. The bully flew away from a far distance, being knocked out. As for Lin Ling, he was also shocked that his method was so strong that it could send someone flying. The bully was speechless and humiliated to see himself getting what he deserved. After Lin Ling fought back, the bully kneeled down to offer Lin Ling some pills, while the other disciples couldn't believe that Lin Ling wasn't a pushover anymore. But for Lin Ling, he doesn't care what people think of him as long as he gets stronger. He then grabbed the Kai-gathering pills as he walked away, and swore that he'll save his baby sister Yu. Meanwhile, at the Guyanpai East Side Inner Forest, Yu was tied up in a humiliating manner. The moneylender and her companion even thought of doing something malicious towards Yu. The man was disgustingly perverted, attempting to do something gross to Yu like they didn't make a deal with Lin Ling. The moneylender thought Lin Ling won't show up and advised Yu to satisfy the perverted man in order to spare her life. Until finally, Lin Ling showed up to save his baby sister. He warned the perverted man to take his hands off Yu, stop whatever disgusting act he was planning to do. He looked at them with such scary glare. But the two antagonists seemed to be underestimating Lin Ling. Lin Ling threw the item which the woman requested earlier. She smirked like she felt she could inhumanely control Lin Ling. As for the perverted man, he believed that Lin Ling has no rights to choose for his own path, like they are the boss of the weaklings. The perverted man dashed to knock out Lin Ling. But for Lin Ling, the perverted man was too slow. Not only did Lin Ling acquire a strong martial method, but his eyes also have the ability to see his opponent's move. He then used his new ability to see which one of them is stronger. The two of them clashed with one another. The two of them tried their best to give a strong punch. But in the end, the perverted man was the one who flew away. Since Lin Ling could clearly see his opponent's move, and with the Supreme Dragon Spirit, the gap will be 2 apart from his opponent's, he knew he already won. The perverted man named Zhao Shan panicked when he realized Lin Ling managed to reach the second stage of body refining. While Shan's companion believed that they must join forces to end the battle quickly. Shan had his ego up, thinking he could win against Lin Ling despite his opponent being in a second phase of body refining. The battle became more serious when Shan ascended to Lin Ling. Shan uses his ability, which he called the King of Hell's Bone Crusher. Lin Ling knew he had to be serious also, since his opponent would use a martial art technique against him, which is also known as strong, the same as his technique. Unfortunately, because of Shan's martial art technique, Lin Ling couldn't see his opponent's moves anymore. The tables had turned, and this time, Lin Ling was the one who was sent flying away. The force was so strong that his body managed to break a tree from its stem. Lin Ling was defeated and could feel his entire skeletal structure to be broken. He tried to move, but his bones were all dislocated. He tried his best, but he felt ashamed that he still couldn't compete against the antagonists. Lin Ling was desperate to find out what methods he could use to win. He desperately wanted to get up, because in a life or death situation, Yu will be in trouble as well. Not until he felt something weird in his body. It turns out, the Supreme Dragon Spirit has the ability to heal Lin Ling. He realized that the heavens haven't given up on him yet. Shan had a brief celebration as he was proud of his Hell's Bone Crusher technique, thinking he won against Lin Ling. He believed that his sister Yi, the moneylender, should relax. Meanwhile, Yu grieves for her big brother. Shan was disappointed that they must kill Yu already before getting the chance to do something disgusting to her. All of a sudden, Lin Ling got up after his fast healing from his ability. He smirked and swore that their battle wasn't over yet. Lin Ling quickly dashed to attack Shan. As for Shan's perspective, he believed that Lin Ling was being too naive. But with one punch, Lin Ling sent Shan flying away. Shan almost got knocked out from the punch when his blood splats on his face. He couldn't comprehend how it was possible for Lin Ling to withstand his technique, even though Lin Ling was just at a second stage of body refinement. Lin Ling felt so lucky that he learned a practicing method unlike the Hell's Bone crushing technique was just like a natural gift of a martial art. Yi realized that the two of them might get seriously hurt since Lin Ling became abnormal. Yi also noticed that her companion Shan was being reckless, and it left her no choice but to join forces even if it would hurt Shan's ego. While the battle was focused for only Lin Ling and Shan, Lin Ling immediately sensed that Yi was about to interfere in the fight. Yi was so delighted thinking he distracted Lin Ling, but she only gave Lin Ling a mere scratch as he dodged the spear. Lin Ling immediately sent Yi flying away for being too bothersome. All of a sudden, Shan went in thinking Lin Ling had lost his focus on the two opponents. Shan smiled viciously thinking he'll be victorious, until a loud noise was heard in the forest that evening. In the end, Lin Ling won against Shan. Yi was in shock, like she couldn't believe that the Lin Ling in front of her was the real one. Since Lin Ling was already losing his strength, he decided to consume the spiritual grass that Yi ordered him to fetch. Yi was mad since she's been searching for the spiritual grass, yet Lin Ling was the one who has it. In Lin Ling's defense, he is not dumb enough to fall for Yi's lies where they'll spare Yu in return of the spiritual grass. He revealed that the container he handed out earlier was just an ordinary grass. Yi was offended and threatened to kill Yu by pointing her sharp spear to Yu. Before she attempted to kill Yu, she insulted Lin Ling's bloodline and his kind that they must be annihilated and erased from existence. Luckily, Lin Ling steps in to prevent Yi's murderous intention. Yi lost a grip from her spear and had a deep cut in her hand. Lin Ling grabbed Yi by her neck with full of anger in his heart, since he already knew she's defeated. Her last resort was to scare Lin Ling that she has a fiancé named Zinn that will hunt down Lin Ling if she was killed. But Lin Ling doesn't care because he swore that whoever harmed his baby sister Yu will feel his wrath. Yi was then killed, and Lin Ling was in victory. He quickly untied his baby sister and hoped she wasn't injured. Yu went straight to her brother's arms for comfort after experiencing a traumatizing situation of being held captive. Lin Ling comforted his sister and told her that they must return home to rest, until Zinn arrived and saw his lifeless fiancée laying on the ground. He desperately wanted Yi to wake up. He tried to feel her pulse, but it was negative that she was alive. Zinn was enraged that Yi was killed. As he looked at Yi's pale and lifeless body, he used his name and privilege to scare Lin Ling that he just messes with the wrong person. But for Lin Ling, he just committed a fair fight since he was the one who started it by harming his baby sister Yu. But Zinn seemed like he didn't plan to acknowledge the situation and made a compromise to kill Lin Ling for committing an offense to him. Another battle had begun, while Yu insists on helping his big brother to fight. But for Lin Ling, the battle is only for the two men who just wanted to protect and avenge their loved ones. And just when we thought Lin Ling only reached the second phase of body refinement, he began to summon his technique to reach until the 5th stage. While Zinn used all his martial art technique and strength to end Lin Ling's life, while Lin Ling used his Supreme Dragon Spirit Form 1. Lin Ling created a dragon with a fire attribute to neglect all of Zinn's attacks. Zinn's attack became useless, and he was even affected by Lin Ling's power. Zinn landed on his feet and made sure he still had his posture, or else he'd be admitting his defeat. Not until he saw something more terrifying than he ever saw. He saw a mysterious old man on top of the tree that seemed to be guarding Lin Ling. The old man gave him a look that will give him a certainty that his life will end if he attempts to make another reckless move. Zinn wasn't dumb enough to continue when he realized that the old man was the bigger threat. He even trembled to think of continuing to fight. But then he just walks away with a message for Lin Ling to remind him that they still have unfinished business with each other. He then carried Yi's dead body as he swore that someday he will avenge the love of his life. Until then, Zinn left the scene. Meanwhile, Yu was concerned for her big brother since she was aware that Zinn would surely return to kill the two of them. Lin Ling pats his baby sister's head for her to stop overthinking things. He then gave Yu a bright and genuine smile and promised that he'll be there no matter what to protect his baby sister Yu. After that long evening, the siblings went off to go home and rest, while Lin Ling sensed something strange happened earlier. As he looked up, he saw thunder on the clouds. Lin Ling felt like his master might have paid a visit to his fight. The next day at Yaguang Peak, a bunch of disciples had gathered to report the recent incident where Lin Ling killed Yi. They faced a man named Huo Lading and blamed him for the incident while he enjoys the sip of his coffee. The man was furious since Lading seemed to not care when Lin Ling committed a murder, and was accused of stealing the spiritual grass. The man felt like Lading is not fit for his role. But for Lading, nothing mattered anymore since Yi and Shan already died. The man along with Sin believed that the problem will be resolved if Lading handed over Lin Ling to their hands to avenge Yi. Deep inside, the man didn't care for Yi, he only cared about the title and making his clan the Tiangsum Peak take over the Yaguang Peak, and of course, for Lading to admit defeat. On the other hand, Yu went to eavesdrop on the whole conversation. She realized the situation was too concerning that she must call for her big brother. The Tiangsum Peak kept annoying Lading that he must give up on Lin Ling. They tried to provoke him by insulting his title as a teacher with a trash apprentice, until he finally snapped when the Tianxim Peak called the Yaguang Peak a bunch of idiots. Zinn smirked, thinking they finally outplayed Lin Ling, until Lin Ling had just arrived to make fun of Zinn's recklessness for being madly in love with Yi. But the man along with him prevented Zinn on committing another reckless act, or else they will lose their composure in a formal face-off. The man decided that he'll be the one to speak up since he's the sanest, unlike Zinn. He warned Lin Ling that he'll be chased until the end for the crimes he committed. Lin Ling called out the fat man that he knew he was just eyeing for the Yaguang Peak's elder's seat and not interested in the major incident at all. The fat man became defensive since he knew deep down that Lin Ling was right. Even though the situation is a promise to hunt down Lin Ling, he was still chill at the situation, knowing that he just played with the elder Zinn, of the fat man's mentality. The Tianxim Peak still uses their defense that Lin Ling is a thief and a murderer in order for them to win the case. But Lin Ling spoke up and told everyone the most logical reason that Yi and Shan was the one who stole the spiritual grass, and when Lin Ling returns it, the two antagonists refused and tried to kill Lin Ling. Lin Ling believed that he just killed the two antagonists as an act of self-defense, yet he was being framed as the bad guy. The Tianxim Peak was speechless since Lin Ling managed to speak the most logical response, unlike them who just kept blaming him. Some of the disciples sided with Lin Ling when they realized that only the Yaguang Peak is the only clan who has a place where the spiritual grass could grow. Zinn became even more defensive, while the elder Zinn tried to stop him as made a defense that Lin Ling doesn't have any evidence at all. The elder Zinn interrogated Lin Ling as he pictures a scenario that maybe he just followed the correct process on obtaining the spiritual grass in the Yaguang Peak and Lin Ling just went out to murder the two antagonists. But Lin Ling has a quick response that in order to ensure the spirituality of the spiritual grass, the wooden box of Yaguang Peak is all made of a rare type of wood, and all wooden boxes must have ambergris left inside. Lin Ling also pointed out the Tianxim's plot hole that they must have seen Yi carrying a wooden box, and in order to prove that he was right, they must have a search party at the Tianxim Peak's place to look for the wooden box. Zinn whispered to the elder Zinn and told him that he didn't know where the box was. The elder Zinn snaps and smacks the heck out of Zinn. The elder Zinn felt so humiliated that he instead expressed his anger towards Zinn, who didn't think of the situation thoroughly. But not only was he humiliated, he didn't even get the chance to take over the Yaguang Peak's elder's position. Zinn was furious and added another reason to his revenge bucket list and swore that someday, Lin Ling will pay for humiliating him. Until then, the Tianxim Peak walked away with shame in their souls. As for Lin Ling, he realized that he must cultivate and train faster since he just created a bad blood against the other clan. And the first thing he thought about was to gather more Kai gathering pills that made him stronger in a quick process. The next day, after the Tianxim incident, Lin Ling seeks for the alchemy room, which took him a hard time to look for, until he finally found the room that seemed to look dusty and abandoned. Since the place was left for a long time, as soon as Lin Ling opens the door, the room was filled with spider webs. Lin Ling tried to breathe in the dusty room, but then he still tried to endure it in order to find the Kai gathering pills. Then Lin Ling saw a big pot where most pills were made and cooked. Lin Ling tried to approach it until he stepped on a scratch pieces of papers laying on the ground. He wondered what it could be since it looked a bit intriguing. As he reads the description on the paper, he realized that it was a label for the rejuvenating pill. Lin Ling was shocked since the rejuvenating pill could be a big help for his recovery if ever he got himself into a big battle. But then he remembered that he has the Supreme Dragon Spirit, which allows him to heal faster on his own, just like how he'd done it before on sparring with Shan. All of a sudden, something had caught his eye. He couldn't explain what could be the meaning behind it, but it was actually just one of his abilities by the time he recovered from blindness. Lin Ling was surprised to see an old man's spirit stirring the pot. Lin Ling took a closer look to see what the old man was doing, and what he saw was a rejuvenating pill that looks extravagant. Lin Ling was mesmerized since he was certain that what he just had saw was not an extraordinary rejuvenating pill. The old man then brought a leaf as one of his ingredients in making of the rejuvenating pill, while Lin Ling was deeply intrigued to see an unusual ingredient. Lin Ling was concerned since he recognized the leaf to be the water hemlock, which is a poisonous grass. Lin Ling hoped the old man knew what he was doing. After most ingredients were all mixed together, the old man summoned a force to put a finishing touch to make the rejuvenating pill an extraordinary. Lin Ling took a peek and saw the grass burning. But it turns out, the old man has the ability to refine the poisonous water hemlock into a medicinal product. After the pills was cooked, since the old man had finished his job, he decided to fade away while Lin Ling showed some gratitude for learning another asset that would help him in the future. But in the end, the rejuvenating isn't what Lin Ling was looking for. He instead thought of using the rejuvenating pills to exchange it to someone else who has the Kai gathering pills. Later that day, Lin Ling was still in the alchemy room. He tried to adapt all the things he learned from the old man's spirit. But deep down, he knew something was wrong even though he followed the instructions clearly. Lin Ling thought of analyzing the pill more thoroughly, until he finally saw his mistake, which was adding the poisonous water hemlock a little bit too late. On Lin Ling's next try, he finally pulled off the cooking methods he learned just moments before. Lin Ling was delighted with his masterpiece. Lin Ling was determined to prepare for 3 days, but he must first head to the town to trade with other civilians who would be interesting to his homemade rejuvenating pill. 3 days later at the Shanwing town, Lin Ling went to a trading shop where Yu recommended him to get the Kai gathering pills by trading the rejuvenating pills. Lin Ling was excited as he went to the counter with his homemade rejuvenating pills and wondered how many Kai gathering pills he would get. But the manager of the shop seemed uninterested by thinking Lin Ling only has an ordinary pills. Not until Lin Ling opened the box and the rejuvenating pill released such mesmerizing aura. The manager was in shock when he realized that it's not a typical and ordinary product, but it was a heavenly ranked rejuvenating pill. The manager was uneasy since he is aware that a heavenly ranked rejuvenating pill is a rare item, lost a long time ago. Until people in the shop starts to gather up as they were intrigued with Lin Ling's product, thinking he just found a lost artifact that was made by a man who died ages ago. After witnessing the rejuvenating pill, the manager decided to seal the deal. The manager made a negotiation, and the deal was to give Lin Ling anything he wanted in return for handing him the heavenly ranked rejuvenating pill. Lin Ling's creation didn't only interest the manager when someone suddenly approached him. The man seemed to be a senior disciple who's willing to give Lin Ling some guidance and pointers, thinking it was a great deal to acquire the rejuvenating pill. Lin Ling was smart enough to decline the senior disciple's offer. The man introduced himself as Yang Jian, a disciple of the Guyan sect. He thought he was so relevant that people would always spoil him and give him whatever he wanted. Jian glared at Lin Ling to threaten him that he must obey him or else he would use his power against him. Lin Ling wasn't even intimidated at all since Jian is just a bully. Even though Jian is at the stage 6 of body refinement realm with reputation that could naturally intimidate everyone, Lin Ling doesn't care as long as he doesn't get a good deal. One man agreed with Lin Ling's statement about the bully Jian and laughed at him for having such a bad temper. And another man called out Jian for being shameless for using his wealth and power to belittle someone. On the other hand, some bystanders believed that a petty man like Jian would definitely get his revenge for getting humiliated. Jian could feel the negativity in the crowd as they all judged his arrogant attitude. Even so, that doesn't stop him from threatening Lin Ling from defending himself, until the manager swoops in and makes it clear that everyone will side with Lin Ling because for a brief time, he was an important person for having a heavenly ranked rejuvenating pill. Jian wasn't pleased with everyone not acknowledging his noble status. He then decided to leave instead but gave a reminder to Lin Ling that they still have unfinished business together. After all the ruckus, the manager brought the Kai gathering pills. But in order to show his sincerity, he gave Lin Ling a purple card where there will be no quota limit in the future so Lin Ling could return to the shop for another purchase. Lin Ling was having a blast that his plan went smoothly. After Lin Ling got the pills, he also bought a hairpin for his baby sister Yu. He wondered if Yu would be delighted with the pretty hairpin he bought for her. And just when Lin Ling was having a great day, Jian showed up all of a sudden to express his anger towards Lin Ling. Since Lin Ling is out of the shop, Jian promised to give Lin Ling a hellish experience of a feeling that no one will back him up in a public place. Lin Ling was surprised to see Jian in front of him. But then he was smart enough to not fight back since he was well aware that Jian had more advanced power than him. The crowd became intrigued with the scene that Jian had just caused. Luckily, Lin Ling thought of a great idea to get out of the situation with the help of his Kai gathering pills. Lin Ling starts to act a bit cocky by telling Jian that he still has protection left by the Jade shop. Jian realized that Lin Ling might get away again without teaching him a lesson, until Lin Ling showed his bag full of Kai gathering pills. He then made a negotiation with the crowd that whoever helps him take down Jian will be rewarded with a Kai gathering pills with a first come first served system. He then bluffed by telling the crowd that if no one followed his order, then he would destroy the pills. After Lin Ling's announcement, the crowd became determined to take down Jian, until Jian was outnumbered with bloodthirsty crowd. He then became more furious that Lin Ling once again outsmarted him. Afterwards, Lin Ling left Jian all alone with pure satisfaction in his heart. While Lin Ling returned to the mountains, he decided that he must get stronger since it would be unhealthy to rely on the Kai gathering pills. Lin Ling then went to a legendary place with a flashy tombstone at the entrance. Lin Ling heard a legend that his whereabouts are a burial ground that has many structures and monsters that even the strong wouldn't dare to enter. But it didn't matter how dangerous the place was because Lin Ling had a belief that the greater the danger, the greater the reward he could acquire. Despite the determination, Lin Ling first used his foreshadowing eyesight ability to see the glimpse inside the burial grounds. The first thing that Lin Ling saw was a spirit of the man who seemed to be a fighter. The spirit had caught himself into an unexpected trap. With that, the man died from all the sharp metals who went against him. The man's spirit with the help of Lin Ling's ability served him as a walkthrough when Lin Ling realized that there would be an iron trigger 10 meters ahead of him. Lin Ling picks up the sword and decided to use it through his journey as a sign of respect to the passing of the man who was caught in the trap. But then Lin Ling saw another item that could help him. It was a scroll that had guides written on it. Lin Ling activated his ability again and heard a man who voices out all his attack moves. Lin Ling observed the spirit of the man who dodges all the sharp metals coming right at him. But just when he was finally escaping, the man didn't see another metal that was about to pierce his heart. The man was brutally stabbed by the metal. He didn't expect to be defeated when he already got his hopes up passing through all the traps just for him to end up being caught by one despite being so cautious. Lin Ling realized that the burial grounds are no joke, because as soon as an adventurer isn't able to see the past, one step and they would fail. Lin Ling felt lucky to acquire the first 2 items he found on his first step at the burial grounds. He believed that the 2 spirits gave him a gift for his journey, and also for the future generations. Lin Ling showed his gratitude to the 2 seniors who gave him a free walkthrough to his journey and training process. Lin Ling reads the scroll where the guide for inverse blood art was stated that the previous spirit used. Lin Ling thought that the Supreme Spirit Dragon was already strong enough to heal him, but he would still give the new ability a chance for him to master every martial art as possible. Days passed and Lin Ling kept training until it reached half a month later. Lin Ling's body refinement finally reached the 5th stage, and he finally learned the inverse blood art. He decided that it's time for him to use his new ability to a test. Afterwards, Lin Ling went to the burial grounds where the 2 spirits he encountered died from the traps. But not only Lin Ling used his new martial arts skill, but he also revealed that he adapted Shan's King of Bone Crusher technique. Lin Ling was able to block all the metals that pop up out of nowhere. Even if the metals attacks all at once, Lin Ling was still at ease. With one slash of his sword, Lin Ling managed to cut all the sharp metals in half. Lin Ling seemed to be stronger than he ever was, that not even a single scratch was seen in his body. Lin Ling finally passed the stage where 2 fighters were killed. And for Lin Ling's next challenge, he called it as the last machine gun array. The traps were not seen in the canyon because its environment was too big, and the traps were so small. Luckily, Lin Ling has a clear eyesight that he could see all the traps. Lin Ling decided to finally use the inverse blood art by biting the tip of his thumb. As he bit his finger, a large amount of aura was released in his body, until the powerful aura spread through the forest and helped Lin Ling to pass through the deadly sharp metal traps. Lin Ling first analyzes the situation after passing the first obstacle. He knew the second one will be harder since he was not strong enough yet. Lin Ling also noticed that since he was already at the stage 5 of body refinement, he wondered how arrogant Feng would act since the 2 opponents are now in the same level. Lin Ling also remembered that the next day will be the Inner Sect Disciples Assessment Day where Lin Ling and Feng will settle their resentments. Lin Ling can't wait to see the faces of those who bullied and underestimated him over the years and finally see his changed and stronger self. After 2 days, at the Guyanpai Plaza, an elder complimented the elder from the Tiangsum clan named Zinn Hai for his cultivation had just improved. The elder next to Zinn Hai named Mo Jingsham, the Huyan sect leader, noticed that Zinn Feng has an extraordinary potential that could be an asset to his clan's popularity. And next to Zinn Hai was his rival elder Huo. The leader of Lin Ling's clan insulted him for having a bunch of useless disciples. But Huo didn't insult Zinn Hai back and just called him annoying instead. But Zinn Hai seemed to want to start a ruckus. The annual duel of the disciples started, and Zinn Feng looked like he was ahead of all the disciples. The crowd became a fanatics due to Zinn Feng's awesome performance. Zinn Hai calls out Zinn Feng that he must fight more disciples and win, because if he lost, his opponent will be the one promoted to be an inner disciple. Zinn Feng had a brief laugh thinking Lin Ling had a change of mind from showing up to a duel. Zinn Hai tried to tease Huo since his disciple gave a coward impression in the event. Zinn Feng shouted for Lin Ling's name and challenged him to show up. It was like he was trying to humiliate Lin Ling for being a coward to show up. The audience had a laugh thinking Lin Ling was a joke for demanding a fight in the first place, yet he hasn't showed up yet. Zinn Feng thought of the scenario that if ever Lin Ling didn't show up, his reputation as a trash will remain the same. But if he ever did show up, he believed that Lin Ling would be a dead meat. Not until Lin Ling finally showed up. And with Lin Ling is the weapon he got from the spirit of the man in the burial grounds. Lin Ling arrived with the brave soul to fulfill his promise to fight Zinn Feng. As Lin Ling walked past the crowd, people kept throwing harsh words at him. The elders kept quiet as they observed the next match. As for Mo Jingsham, he believed the match was already settled since he still thought that Lin Ling was the same weakling they all knew. Lin Ling's baby sister Yu also participated in the event, but she was the only one who cheered for her big brother Lin Ling. Lin Ling looked back at his sister and promised her that he could handle the battle on his own. Zinn Feng made a joke and called Lin Ling a drunkard for spouting nonsense, until he became more serious as he gets closer to Lin Ling. He then reminded him of how furious he was since Lin Ling killed his fiancée. Lin Ling didn't let himself get pushed over and called out Feng for being such a jerk. The elders all laughed hysterically, thinking Lin Ling had a lot of guts for being tough. Also, they all believed that since Lin Ling was from the Yaguang Peak, who's known for having a bunch of weakling disciples, they thought Lin Ling would just embarrass himself. Feng then dropped his weapon. He was so arrogant, thinking he didn't need a weapon because Lin Ling was still at the third stage of body refinement. Feng dashed with his clenched fist that he thought it would kill Lin Ling with one hit. But Lin Ling doesn't want to play games, and uses his sword to block Feng's not-so-strong attack. Feng embarrassingly misses an attack. He was surprised to see himself get fooled, while Lin Ling disrespected him unintentionally by calling Feng slow. Feng's arrogant behavior faded away and was replaced into fear, as he saw Lin Ling become an overpowered fighter. Lin Ling glared at Feng to remind him that he was wrong for assuming that he was still at the third stage of body refinement. Feng instantly backs away. He felt so weird that he felt fear near Lin Ling, because the moment he got a glimpse of Lin Ling, who hadn't even touched him yet, he had a self-defense reflex to retreat, like his body already knew that Lin Ling was stronger. Mo Jianshan didn't make it obvious that he was surprised that Lin Ling reached the 5th stage of body refinement. But as for Zin Hai, he thought Lin Ling might have used some kind of cheat by consuming a lot of spiritual grass. But Mo Jianshan disagreed because a professional like him knew that only geniuses could reach a certain stage without relying on any spiritual grass. Feng, on the other hand, didn't back down and instead used one of his powerful moves. He finally realized that it was his mistake to underestimate an opponent. He then used one of his martial art techniques with a combination of holding multiple needles that he used as a knuckle to weaken Lin Ling's energy. Even if Lin Ling was well aware that he got stronger, he was still fighting cautiously like a sharp man. He thinks carefully and analyzes where Feng wishes to throw his punch at him, until Feng throws a punch without thinking that Lin Ling could block it with his sword. The punch resulted in Feng being severely injured. Just when he thought he could put shame on Lin Ling's reputation, he ended up flying away with Lin Ling's single swing of his sword. Feng held his hand, as he felt all the painful agony from his right hand. He wondered how Lin Ling managed to get stronger in a brief amount of time. Lin Ling glared at him to remind him that he was never joking about taking his arrogance down to the ground. The crowd was disappointed that the man they bullied for so long turns out to be much stronger than the man they all looked up to. Feng already felt his pride being dirtied. He couldn't accept the fact that he was slowly being ruined by Lin Ling. Feng decided that he must kill Lin Ling to protect his reputation. Feng once again used a powerful martial art technique he called the Forbidden Arts, Dissolving Bone Strike. Hai was aware of how powerful the martial art technique of Feng was. He was certain that Lin Ling would definitely lose this time. Feng gathered all of his remaining strength, and as he dashed, he swore that Lin Ling would die in his hands. But for Lin Ling, he wasn't intimidated at all. He was more concerned by the fact that Feng uses an evil spiritual energy. But then he carried on and used the inverse blood attack. Feng finally got closer to Lin Ling. He tried to touch Lin Ling with his negative energy power, but to his surprise, Lin Ling's reflex is much faster than his. The Lin Ling he saw in front of him earlier was on his side all of a sudden, like he just had used a teleportation. Just like Feng, Lin Ling also combined his martial art technique with the King of Hell's Bone Crusher. With one punch, Feng was sent flying away again. He stumbled on the ground, while his hand was severely bruised and its bones were crushed. The crowd went crazy to witness Feng was defeated for the first time. Mo Jianshan wondered about how a known weakling could enhance his power and abilities for a short moment of time. He then had a theory that Lin Ling might have used some cultivation methods to reach the 5th stage of body refinement. Feng's body already admits defeat, but he still tried to get up until Lin Ling pushed him back to ground, while his body naturally reacted that he won't survive for another fight. Lin Ling looked at him directly at his face and warned him that he must not bully anyone anymore. And if Feng tried to show another recklessness, Lin Ling made a promise that he will be there to end Feng's life. Their resentment is finally over while Feng was whining in the background and couldn't accept his defeat while feeling all the agony from his injury. But of course, Hai couldn't accept the outcomes and called out Lin Ling. He was deeply furious that a well-known trash Lin Ling was able to take down his strong disciple Feng. Lin Ling provoked him that he might as well be injured like Feng due to his pettiness. Lin Ling has a defense that Feng broke the rules and even used a hidden weapon to kill him, and even though it was an unfair fight, Lin Ling was merciful to not kill Feng in an instant even if he had a chance, until another rival of Lin Ling had arrived. It was Jan from the Jade Shop days before the event. He also thought of another defense just to take down Lin Ling. Jan was certain that Feng lost the battle between two disciples who had resentment for each other. However, Jan believed that if Lin Ling was already ruthless at an early stage, he would cause more chaos in the future. Jan asked for the elders' permission to expel Lin Ling like he was the one who cheated in a fair fight. But deep down, Jan doesn't care about the state of their clans, he just really wanted to get his revenge from the day he was embarrassed by Lin Ling. Zinn agreed with Jan's pettiness and hoped Mo Jianshan would agree with their defense. But Mo Jianshan wanted a fair judgment as he gave Lin Ling a chance to speak up. Lin Ling, who is a man of his words, instead declared another fight for things to settle. He made a deal that if Jan defeated him, he would respectfully admit his defeat and leave the clan of Gu Yanpai. The bright and sunny weather suddenly shifted into a stormy day. Jan was delighted by Lin Ling's offer since he was aware that he is much stronger than Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, he can't tell if he just made a great decision of declaring a fight against a man who's stronger than him. Jan already felt the satisfaction since he already has a reason to express his anger towards Lin Ling. Jan immediately lets all his overpowered abilities out and swore to defeat Lin Ling with his bare hands. All of a sudden, Jan ascended with a large amount of aura coating his body, and used his move he called the second rank, 1000 heavy palm strikes. Lin Ling then showed an intimidated expression. Luckily, he managed to dodge the attack that just demolished the stage. He became nervous as his anxiety kicked in knowing that he had just started a fight with an opponent who is currently at the 6th stage of body refinement. At that moment, Jan will make sure to humble Lin Ling. The fight went on and all Lin Ling could do was to block every attack. But no matter how many times Lin Ling blocked all the attacks, Jan doesn't stop. Until Lin Ling couldn't hold it anymore and slowly reached his limits, but Jan just seemed like he didn't want to give away his blind spot. As for Zinn, he kept murmuring Lin Ling's name. Zinn was furious that a known punching bag was able to humiliate his son Feng. While Lin Ling's baby sister Yu was concerned for her big brother that she begged Huo to do something. But Huo doesn't want to interfere a fight between two men. Jan could also sense that Lin Ling was slowing down and that he must admit his defeat in a humiliating way, and in return, he will spare Lin Ling's life. But Lin Ling also has pride in him. Jan was delighted to see his opponent suffering from being tired. Lin Ling even tried to make fun of Jan by reminding him of the day that he got beaten up by a bunch of people because he was outsmarted by Lin Ling. Jan was immediately triggered since he was reminded of his embarrassing experience at the Jade Shop. He then requested Mo Jianshan to make their battle a fight to the death. Mo Jianshan still wanted a fair fight by making both parties agree with the same ideas. The audience already sympathizes with Lin Ling, thinking he would definitely lose this round. But Lin Ling wasn't even scared when he accepted the death battle with Jan. Jan also was getting started as he grabbed a weapon and promised to tear Lin Ling into pieces. But just when Jan thought he would get a victory, little did he know that he just gave Lin Ling an open spot that could kill him in an instant. Even though the blade almost cut Lin Ling's face, he was satisfied by the fact that Jan just fell into his trap. Jan was delighted, thinking he could finally kill Lin Ling. But to his surprise, Lin Ling suddenly disappeared in front of him. A chill went down his spine when he realized he just let down his guard when Lin Ling appeared behind him. The next thing he knew was Lin Ling's blade just touched him, and his last moments were to see Lin Ling in front of him. He was flabbergasted when he realized that he was decapitated. Everyone who underestimated Lin Ling was shocked, and in an instant, they all switched sides and idolized Lin Ling. Mo Jianshan was also shocked to witness an impossible battle move and tactics. The outcomes only triggered Zinn more. He was still delusional that Lin Ling definitely cheated by consuming tons of pills. The battle became more unfair when Zinn ordered his underlings to kill Lin Ling to avenge their comrades. Unfortunately, Mo Jianshan had nothing to do since Zinn father was a dear friend of his. Lin Ling only stood there as he realized the system was just so unfair. Even though he gave his best and proved everyone who underestimated him wrong, he was still labeled as the bully at the event. Zinn underlings called out to Lin Ling that he must stop resisting since he was in the wrong. Lin Ling laughed hysterically that people never acknowledged him, that he was just a victim defending himself. He then announced all the people who did him wrong, which everyone cited in just because of their power and connections. And Lin Ling, who has a clean consciousness and emotions, was painted as the villain just because he learned to fight back. Lin Ling was furious that he couldn't handle any more of the oppressions. The underlings still ignored his voice that speaks nothing but the truth and carried on with attacking him with no morals. Meanwhile, Lin Ling already reached his limits. Lin Ling's dodge wasn't even clean as his opponents almost decapitated him. It was a sign that Lin Ling must refrain himself from going further. Even so, Lin Ling tried his best to kill his opponents, or else he would be doomed. He then drew his sword coated with his bloodthirsty martial art, until someone unexpectedly kicked him to save the underling of Zinn. Lin Ling was sent flying and stumbled on the ground. Another powerful man appeared on sight and called Lin Ling a backstabber and a disruptor, and it was revealed that another oppressor and immoral man named Lin Yu, whose body refinement was at stage 7 and a rank 20 inner disciple, entered the battle. Lin Ling was annoyed with his hypocrite enemies who kept calling him a cheat even though he was attacked in a most shameless way. Lang Yu was even more triggered when Lin Ling pointed out his ignorance and hypocrisy. Lang Yu went to attack, while Lin Ling knew everything wouldn't go well for him since his recent opponent was more advanced compared to his 5th stage of body refinement. He then thought that maybe he could use his wits to get out of the situation, until his master finally entered the battlefield, who was just enduring every unfair situation at the event. But then he finally snapped when a bunch of disciples and even the elders kept bullying his own disciple. Huo was mad furious with all of their pettiness who can't accept defeat. And with one hit, Huo defeated Lang Yu. The crowd began to be terrified because they all thought that the Yaguang Peak was just a joke from the beginning. Zinn Hai wasn't pleased with Huo suddenly helping his disciple. But it turns out, Huo's act only added fuel to the fire, because as soon as he entered the battlefield, it was a sign to declare war against all clans. All the elders entered the battlefield while Lin Ling was scared for his master's life being at a threatening situation. But Huo doesn't want to show any sign of weakness, especially since he wishes to save his disciple's life. Huo put all of his forces onto the stage, but it was such a powerful move that his old, aged body couldn't handle it. Lin Ling felt bad that someone had to suffer for his sake. The three elders were all having a laugh, thinking they could all finally kill Huo, especially Zinn Hai, that grew hatred against the Yaguang Peak since he became a laughing matter for the past few days due to his ignorance. On the other hand, Lin Ling tried his best to protect his master from all the powerful forces combined. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Leave a comment for the next part, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.